So it's been a few days since I did part 1 of this. Sorry that it took me a few days to get back to this. Because yeah, it's been 5 days since I started this. So, welcome to part 2 of the Skyrim versus ESO leveling. So in video 1, I showed you what it looks like when you level in Skyrim, as well as how to find things in your menu options. In this video, I'm going to show you how it is in ESO, and also how they compare versus how they are contrast. Hopefully this will help. I can't guarantee that it will, but it may make it make understanding how to navigate it a little bit easier at least. So yeah, give it a second to load. And let's also hope that it doesn't, kick me like it did the last time that I tried doing this. So first let's get past this. So I'm just going to open the menu bar here. Lovely little music in the background. Alright, so in this you'll hit your options button, and then you'll go down to skills. Alright, so this is from level 1 to level 50 where you'll go. So, if you want to go with, things that you know from Skyrim, we'll start here. So you have, your two-handed weapons. So your ultimate, once you max out the level for this to 50, you'll be able to unlock this. These are all stamina based. And, these are your passives that you would work on. And you have one-handed and shield. Same basics on that. You've got your passives, your actual abilities. This bar at the top, this is your skill bar for your attacks. Then you have dual wielding, so, one-handed swords. Again, same principle. Your bow, like I said in part 1, instead of listing it as archery, they have it listed as bow because, a lot of people, for some reason, don't know what archery is, even though it's self-explanatory, and in Skyrim, they even had it labeled with a bow. So, meh. So again, you have your abilities, passives, and then the ultimate was at the top. Destruction Staff. Now, all of these, so these two-handed, one-handed shield, dual-wield bow, those are all stamina. Then you have your magicka builds. So you have your destruction. And these are dictated, like you have the elemental rage, the wall of elements, and I think weakness to elements, and also ring of elements. These are all dictated by which staff you have. So if you have an ice staff, obviously it will do ice damage. If you have an inferno staff, it will do fire damage. If you have a lightning staff, it will do lightning damage. You can use the healing staff, but I mean, you don't really need to with these. It's not going to work as well if you use, restoration staff with destructive abilities. You can, but it makes more sense if you actually use a destruction staff with the abilities. Then you have your restoration staff, which is your healing staff. So, again, magicka base build. Your passives. Why do I not have you selected? That was dumb. I don't know why I didn't have that set. And, then you have your ultimate. Then you have your armor. So you have your light armor, which is more common for people who want to use light armor because they use stabs or magic builds. Again, ability. Oh wait, these don't have abilities because it's armor. Ah, my bad. Well, it has one that you can use, and then you have your passives. Medium armor is used more for, you know, one-handed shield or dual wielding, things like that. And then heavy armor is for more two-handed weapon users. Now, I use it even though I use stabs. It gives a little bit extra protection because I don't often game with other people. So this gives me a little bit of a boost. And it does also give a boost to staff users. So it's not a total loss to use them. You know, increases the magicka or stamina of your heavy attacks. You know, this one's for health, health recovery. And it also gives you restoration of your magicka and stamina. You know, resolve, physical and spell resistance. So, you know, if you're also going up against other magic users, that helps. So that's why I use heavy armor. I like it better than light. Ledgerman is for, you know, if you're... It's not necessarily for the Thieves Guild because there is one specifically for that guild, but Ledgerman helps. So basically, it is really hard to think with that music in the background. I didn't think it would be, but it is. Sorry, it was just really hard to focus. So, you know, kickback, that way, you know, you don't have to pay as much to the guards. Locksmith, you know, obviously it's for lockpicking. Traffickers, so, you know, how much you can sell to fences and such per day. Light fingers makes pickpocketing easier. And, you know, sneak or hiding. So these here were each individuals in Skyrim, I believe. I think this kickback, I believe, went with a different one, but lockpicking was a specific. I don't remember what this one was under. I think this was under speech in Skyrim. I don't know what this one was under. And this one was obviously under sneak. Okay, so that's Ledgerman. And you've got soul magic. So these are things that you would use for soul gems. So soul lock, you know, if you kill an enemy with an ability, you know, there's a 5% chance of filling an empty soul gem in your inventory. This one is basically for, you know, last minute attacks. You know, soul summons allows you to revive every 1 hour without spending a soul gem, so you can revive on the spot without having to use one. Because if you, depending on where you die, if you die in ESO, then, like, if you're in the water, you know, if you swam out too far and you were killed by slaughterfish, obviously it's not going to let you revive right there. Otherwise, you're going to revive in the middle of slaughterfish. And the difference between this game and Skyrim is if you're in the middle of a slaughterfish area or where they can get you, then they're just everywhere. In Skyrim, it's basically, oh, one or a few found you, you have to kill them or get away. You can't kill them in this game. Which is annoying, but it's how they did the boundary. Soul trap, you know, you lock it on, and, you know, if you successfully kill them within within the time frame, or just in general, it will fill an empty soul gem. Then soul strike. Yeah, it's another soul magic ability. The werewolf skill line. Now, if you give your character vampirism in place of the werewolf skill line, you will have the one for vampirism. You obviously can't have both at the same time. You can acquire this either by purchasing it in the Crown Store, or you can do the quest. I purchased them in the Crown Store. It was easier to do it that way, so I just did it that way. You can also have it removed. You can also, once you have, I think is it Blood Moon? Yes. Once every 7 days, you can also bring someone to a ritual site in the game, and you can give them lycanthropy, and they'll be part of your pack. And the reduces the cost of remaining in your werewolf transformation by 20% for each transformed werewolf in your group, including yourself, up to a maximum of 80%. So, because the transformation is an ultimate, it does cost a bit. So it'll reduce the cost more and more by however many you have in your active group. So the people that you're traveling with, if they are also werewolves, specifically I believe in your pack. Which is pretty cool, because whenever you transform, you have 2 direwolves that are at your side, and their color changes by the level of enemies that are around you. They go from, I think, brown and black to white. Okay, then you have the Dark Brotherhood skill line. I haven't done much with the Dark Brotherhood in this, honestly, just because it's different in this than it is in Skyrim. You know, in Skyrim, if you're really good at sneaking, then you can get away with a lot. In this, it's radius based. So if you're too close, it doesn't matter how slow or quietly you move. That aspect is not in this game, which didn't bother me as much when I started playing this, but I started playing it before playing Skyrim, and when I saw the difference, I was really pissed off, because in Skyrim, you can sneak past someone if you're quiet and you move slow enough, as long as they don't turn around and go by you and, you know, obviously see you, but it's not the case in this game. And then the Fighters Guild, you know, again, it's self-explanatory. You know, you have your ultimate. Hi, Snoopy. Hi, kitty kitty. Oh, hi, baby. You want it? You want to sit? Come here. Yes, I will let you sit on my lap. Come here. You're already... Are you going to do it, or are you just going to sit on the back of my chair? You just going to sit there? Okay, I guess you're just going to sit there. Alright, so you have your ultimate, you have your active abilities, and then you have your passives. Now, even though I don't use the abilities, I still use some of the passives, so, you know, allows you to intimidate and... Oh, there you go. Yes, you can lay in the bundle. It's okay. Come here. We've got a blanket bundle. Lay down. Snoopy, come on. But you can intimidate people in conversations, also banish the wicked. You know, you can generate 9 ultimate when you kill an undead, danger, a werewolf. So it helps. Skill tracker. I don't keep this one because it's when you use Fighters Guild abilities. If I don't use the abilities in a skill line, obviously I don't use the passives that only work if you're using the abilities from that skill line. I need to take that one off because I never go to Cyrodiil. Alright, then you have Mage's Guild. The passives for this one are really good. Persuasion is one that you need for a lot of quests to go well. Same with Intimidate. They're ones that I highly recommend you make sure that you have. Again, I don't know why I have that one slotted. I shouldn't. Then Sigic Order. Oh, that's a nice one to have. You step backwards in time, resetting your health, magic, and stamina in position to what they were 4 seconds ago. That's handy. So, if you got hit with an ultimate and it almost killed you or something, you can hit undo. That's cool. I haven't looked at this one much. But, insight you've gained from the Sigic Order grants you vision of the spiritual world. You can now interact with rifts all throughout Tamriel. That's another one that you need. Very, very handy. Very handy to have. You know, Clairvoyance is another one for specific skill line abilities. Same with that one. Deliberation is another one. Okay. Then you have the specific ones for the Thieves Guild, so Finders Keepers, you know, Thief Troves and Caches located all over Tamriel. They can only be opened by members of the Thieves Guild, so you don't have to worry about random people popping up and taking them unless they're a member of the Thieves Guild. This dictates, you know, how fast your bounty goes down. Thank you. This one, you know, stolen items sold at a fence are worth, you know, however many more percent, depending on how far in the passives you've gone. Now, laundering is when you make a stolen good listed as a normal good, so it's no longer listed as stolen, which means basically if you get caught by a guard, they take you in, they usually take all your stolen goods. Well, if you have it laundered, then you still have that good in your inventory when they take all your stolen goods because it's no longer listed as stolen. Clemency is really good. It helps you get away from a guard once per day. And you've got a minute to basically run after using Clemency, so that if there's any other guards in the immediate area, you can dip out. So basically, if you're in a town and you need to dip, you can dip. Timely escape also helps with finding refuge, so that's also really good. Decreases the detection rate of witnesses and guards, but why do I not have these? Seriously. I think by now I'd actually go back and look for these. The Undaunted Guild is another one. The Undaunted Guild has a lot of interesting quests. They'll send you into a lot of dungeons. Some of them are a pain in the ass, by the way, so if you're low level and you go after these, be careful. Let's see, Alliance War. It's the same basic principle. I'm not going into these because I don't do anything with the Alliance War, and I just think it's a waste of time. I'm gonna move a bit, otherwise it'll time me out, so I have to... Okay. Then you have, you know, your racial, so my character is a Wood Elf, even though she doesn't look like it with the polymorph. So you have your passives. Regardless of what your build is, you want to make sure that these are one of the first skill lines that you max out. Then you have your crafting stuff, so each of these were listed under different things and in Skyrim. So alchemy I don't remember what that was listed under. I know blacksmithing, I think that had its own bit. Clothing, enchanting. I don't know if there was anything for jewelry crafting. But these are all specific skill lines. I do a lot of woodworking. Provisioning goes really well. You can even craft things for like feeding a vampire. I don't know if there's anything in there for werewolves. So that's handy. So those are your skills. Those are your, level 1 to level 50 skills. Then if you go down to champion, after you hit 50, you have this. So I have 16 points I can put in any of the red. I have 15 for the green and 15 for the blue. Okay, so you have the tower. Under the Thieves' influence, the tower raises your stamina and makes you more efficient with spells and abilities. Under the lever, for the lever you have under the Thieves' influence, the lever gives you stamina and accelerates your regeneration. Shadow, under the Thief's influence, the shadow grants you stamina and helps you elude your enemies. Then you have the Apprentice. Under the Mage's influence, the Apprentice increases your magicka and empowers your spells. The Atronach. Under the Mage's influence, the Atronach boosts your magicka and trains your skill at arms. The Ritual. Under the Mage's influence, the Ritual grants you magicka and makes your attacks more precise. The Steed. Under the Warrior's influence, the Steed boosts your health and shields you from damage. The Lady. Under the Warrior's influence, the Lady gives you health and protects you from negative effects. And the Lord. Under the Warrior's influence, the Lord grants you health and improves your vitality. And as you can see at the very top next to the name of each of these, it tells you how much you have put into them. So you can see I use, the Lord and the Lover a lot for this, as well as the Atronach. So, and as you boost them in, it will unlock the upper ones more. So, let's see, this one was at 102, so this would have more unlocked. So, health, increases your health recovery, increases the magic and stamina, your fully charged heavy attacks restore, the magicka recovery, stamina recovery, I don't have anything in that because I don't use stamina points. Now if you notice, these are also the names of the different stones that you find throughout Skyrim. You can also find them here in ESO, but your champion points you'll find under the names of each of these, and they are very, very handy. So we're going to go over to the Steed. So Ironclad reduces damage taken by direct attacks, so put a few in that just to show you how this is done. Increases spell resistance, so increases critical resistance, physical resistance, and see, this is dictated by pieces of medium armor. Now I told you I use heavy armor, so we won't use that. So critical resistance will also bump that up. Then to confirm the distribution, we hit square. It asks you if you're sure, X, and then boom. So we still have 7 more points we can use, so we'll go over to the Lord. Alright, reduces damage taken from player light and heavy attacks. Well, I don't go into attacks versus other people very often, so I don't really need that. I realized that after I'd put the first point in there. Increases the effectiveness of damage shields by 3.8. I don't really need that though that much. Increases your healing received. That one I should probably put more in. Increases your physical resistance while wearing 5 or more pieces of heavy armor. Now that is something I use a lot, which is why there's so many points put into specifically this one. Okay, and then we go over to the Lady. So and then this one is for light armor. Which in the beginning I did start using light armor. I swapped over to heavy just because I suck at making builds, to be perfectly honest with you, so this was very handy. Reduces your damage taken from damage over time effects, and then reduces the damage taken from flame, frost, shock, and magic damage. So we'll put one in that. Confirm. Yes. Okay, so that has all the ones I currently have available for in the red, so we're going to go over to the green. So under the tower, I've only used 14, let's see why. So I've put them all in Siphoner. When you deal damage with a light or heavy attack, you decrease the enemy's health, magic, and stamina, resource, restore, and recovery. Okay, so that's handy. Just the cost of sprint. I should actually put some in there, because I run a lot in this game, which using that would basically make it so that I can run a lot further and a lot longer. I don't use bash, and break free I don't worry about as much. So, which bash is when you you go to block, and while you're blocking you hit your attack. So I think it's L2 to block and R2 to attack, just normally. So if you have L2 pressed down and you hit R2 as well, then that blocks. If you hit them simultaneously, that's supposed to, that's break free. So if you're chained or if you're in a trap, that'll help you break out of it. You can also sometimes try to dodge roll, that doesn't always work well though. Increases the magic and stamina, your fully recharged heavy attacks restore. Health recovery, stamina recovery, so... Now we're gonna ignore the shadow for now. So then we have the apprentice, the atronach, the ritual. So we'll go to this first. So staff expert increases your damage done with light and heavy attacks for destructive and restoration staves, as well as overload, which I use destructive and restoration staves. So this is really, really good. Oh look, and we unlocked one. Go back and it takes it down. So that means Butcher will be unlocked whenever I finish this. Increases your damage done with direct damage attacks. Well, I'm not melee, so that doesn't work. I'm not a physical weapon, and shattering blows is also done by physical weapons, so I'm gonna hit Butcher is now unlocked. Increases your damage done with light and heavy attacks by 5% to enemies below 25% health. So this would be a passive. So the ones up top are passives. So I only have one more passive to unlock. It won't take that long. So then you have the ritual. Increases your critical and damage and healing with stamina abilities. I don't know why I have points in that. I don't need that. Physical penetration, physical poison. I don't use these, so that's not. Damage done with damage over time effects. See, these are what I needed with it. And that unlocked Perfect Strike, which increases your weapon critical by 9%. And then let's see what we have here. So we have Vengeance. Increases your spell penetration by 907, so even if they're shielded or if they have armor, this will help you break through even faster and better. Increases your flame, frost, shock, and magic damage done, which I use a lot. Critical damage and healing with magic abilities, and increases your healing done. So and that's how you use this. So these are these are the boons. And they're really handy. Now, the cool thing about this, with the champion points, is, okay, you see where I have this character up to champion level 433. Now, it says that counter starts after you hit level 50, and it doesn't start at 50 and keep going. Your champion points will start at 0. Well, 1 or 0. And they'll keep going from there. So if your champion level, as, like mine's 433, you can add 50 to that. That actually means that your true level is 483, or that mine is 483. So your champion levels are on top of what you already have. Now, this is the really, really cool part of champion points. Now, each character you make, you have to get them to level 50. That leveling doesn't change. However, the amount of champion points you have is dictated by the character you have with the highest amount of points. So, we have this one here, which is a 433. This is a base level 6, base level 5, base level 10, base level 6, base level 12. So, we are going to... we're going to go with Tuxir. She's my Nightblade Khajiit. I've tried making other characters, I've tried doing other builds, and I'm one of those people where once I make one that I really like, it's really hard to convince me to want to go back and redo the quests all over again. I just can't bring myself to do it. I can't. Is that an enemy? No, it's not. Okay. It looked like it had a red bit on it. It did not. Okay, so yeah, you've got your skills. Apparently I haven't even set anything on this one all that much. So, all this is dependent upon what level the character itself is at. However, if you go down to champion points, all the champion points that you have because of the highest level character you have are available. Now imagine creating your character and having all of this set at the start and having that boost from the get-go. It is amazing. So this gives your character an extra boost, can help you with leveling even faster, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. It's very handy. This is the biggest difference, honestly, that I can give you between the leveling in Skyrim versus ESO. And this is one of the... A lot of people complain about the leveling differences as well as, looting and things. This is one of my biggest things that I try to bring up to people now as far as a hook to get them to actually play ESO. Because why wouldn't you take interest in this? So, that is the conclusion of the Skyrim versus ESO leveling part 2. I hope this was coherent, understandable, and helpful. Any questions, comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I may or may not see it right away. I don't check them as often as I should, but it will notify me on my phone and in my email, so eventually I will see it. Again, I hope this helped, and you have a wonderful day, night, whatever time it is for you.